Everybody, welcome into the Monday edition of the Proline TV Baseball Betting Bash. And you're witnessing history right now. I don't know if it's a good kind of history or the bad, but it's our first three-man booth on this show. And we've got Jim Feist and Andy Isco, both Las Vegas residents and legends in the handicapping business. And I am honored to be sharing the stage with them as we look to bring you the Monday through Wednesday and the Thursday, I guess.
By the way, Jim is a Las Vegas legend. I'm a thorn in the side of legends.
That's fine. People know who you are, so that's good. We'll use legends with a broad brush. But look, we've got Monday through Thursday, I guess, Thursday-ish, Wednesday too, of a look at MLB as we're now a full 10th of the season in, 10% of the season. A lot of these teams have played 16 games, 162 games. You do the math. And we have some things developing that are pretty interesting in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about the weekend that was a little bit and look ahead to series previews and series price picks that we like. And each one of us will give you a game of the week that we've got circled from Monday through Thursday to try to isolate either something we like, something we want to see, or something we are giving you to bet on. So hope that the betting weekend was kind to you guys. It was pretty good on baseball. Let's get the homework out of the way. Andy, you were in absentia on Thursday due to an internet issue, which has now been fixed, and you look better than ever in terms of your crystal picture. So kudos to that. But the Brewers and Diamondbacks did not get over on my MLBs. The Phillies did not win their series against the Cardinals. It was an interesting series there. I did get the Marlins over the Nationals, and Jim was a big winner with the Giants over the Yankees, and they took 2 out of 3. And why don't we start there with, I will say that they're the among baseball's biggest surprises, but certainly I don't think a lot of people thought that the San Francisco Giants would be what they are right now, coming off taking 2 out of 3 against the New York Yankees and coming in with a record, I believe, of 11-3, something like that, and just behind the Giants. So let's start there. Your thoughts on the Giants and the Yankees, Jim, since you were a winner on that.
Well, I'm a little down on the Yankees because of their pitching. I mean, we all know they can score runs, but when it comes to the pitching, I'm weak on them, and I always thought Boston and Baltimore were better in the East and would take it. And of course, you can't count out Tampa. Or it's a tough division when you don't have a deep pitching staff, and they lost their best pitcher before the season started, and that hurts. You can score a lot of runs, but you run into some good pitching staffs, they're going to shut you down, and you're not always going to put up the runs against good pitchers.
Yeah, the Yankees are now 8-7 to start the season after their torpedo bat infused hot start. Blue Jays lead that division at 9-7, and the entire division separated by 2.5 games. But Andy, I know that we were talking hot stove wise about the NL West being the best division in baseball. I know all of us liked the Diamondbacks and the Padres to be solid MLB teams this season, and obviously the Dodgers to be a juggernaut. But I remember that you were a lot higher on the Giants than I was, and right now you're looking very good. Jung-Hoo Lee, it's his world. We're all living in it. First in the National League in doubles and slugging percentage to lead the charge there.
Yeah, the National League West more competitive right now early on. Don't know if San Francisco will be able to sustain it. I do like what I've seen out of the Padres, even though they are a little bit shorthanded with Musgrove, etc. But it's a solid lineup, a decent bullpen. Dodgers, there's plenty of time for them, but you have to be a little bit concerned about their lack of consistency. And the game last night was a bit. 2 nights ago, I guess the 16-0 one was a bit ridiculous. That's certainly we would expect that to be an outlier as far as that goes. Arizona, I think, has been a bit of a disappointment. I expected that to be a high-scoring series. Not only was it not a high-scoring series, Arizona was having offensive problems deep into those games. I think they scored 5 runs in the 9th inning to win on Saturday. I think they did not have a very good offensive output on Friday, and they struggled a bit more on Sunday. That's a little bit of a surprise. But as we mentioned, and I'll just touch on the Yankees for a bit since Jim was talking about that, the pitching up and down. The rotation, the bullpen has not been very strong. And if you're having issues in the bullpen right now, you can only imagine what the issues are going to be later in the year as the bullpen gets more and more taxed. That's one of the reasons why I like, for example, Seattle in the AL West, because they have such a good starting rotation that they should not have to rely on their bullpen in the months of April through July into August, as other teams might, like the Yankees, so that their bullpen in a pennant race in the West, which could be pretty much wide open right now, although the Angels are playing exceptionally well, but those bullpens won't be as fresh, will be fresher for Seattle than, let's say, for the Yankees late in the season. But of course, with the Yankees, you always have to wonder what moves they will make at the trade deadline to strengthen what right now, which would be the rotation and the bullpen. I think the offense is not an issue, but as the pitching struggles, more pressure will be put on the offense to produce.
Yeah, Paul Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger are off to good starts. So we'll see what the Yankees come again. Too early to panic there or panic for the Dodgers. But we do want to give kudos to teams like the Cubs and the Mariners, who you mentioned, Andy. One reliever that's actually thriving is Andres Munoz, leading the American League in saves with 6. So certainly they're getting the job done at the start of games with their starters and at the end of games with a closer who has been lights out. They just swept the Rangers to get back to 8-8. The Angels are leading the AL West, and that's a team that kind of patchwork. They added Jorge Soler. The Mike Trout experiment continues in terms of hoping and crossing your fingers that he doesn't get hurt. He actually had an incident very early in the season that he was able to bounce back from and has been hitting the cover off the ball. So some of their young players are producing. So certainly LA is faring well. The Rangers, like I said, got swept by the M's. So really nobody has pulled ahead in the American League at all. The AL West is tight. The AL Central is tight, even though the Tigers are ahead, and the AL West tight as well. The one, I guess, surprise team on a negative in the American League is the Minnesota Twins, coming just a half game up on the Chicago White Sox for the worst record in that league. And I think if you gave me odds right now, I haven't looked at them, but I would say Rocco Baldelli is on the short list to be the first manager fired.
Can't argue with that. Do I have to tear up my 162-0 ticket on the Dodgers now?
Yes, you got to a week in, although they gave it a run. and look, I think
shockingly though, they've lost 3 straight series, which is actually very shocking.
Yeah, and you have Blake Snell out and Freddie Freeman in and out of the lineup with the ankle thing. But for the most part, I think we are also seeing, and if you did back the over on 105.5, 106.5 wins, depending on where you got it, you're concerned now that all of these teams are viewing the LA Dodgers as their mini World Series in season. Because they get up for him not only not be embarrassed, but to add to their confidence. And being that MLB is a marathon, you take your boosts when you can get them. And I think we're seeing that from a lot of these teams. But I mean, certainly the Cubs are playing extremely well. I wrote in a note to you guys and that I saw on MLB Network today. Carson Kelly, who's got a cycle to his name this season, and Miguel Amaya, their catching combo, hitting 8 and 9 in the order when they get in, have combined for 24 RBIs. And then you've got Ian Happ at the top of the order, really producing. Kyle Tucker already got an extension with how he's thriving. Dansby Swanson, after a down season, is really.
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I cannot hear you at the moment.
I hear you, Andy, but I do hear you. I do hear you, but can't hear us. Okay.
And so we got, the one thing that the Cubs are struggling with is Kyle Tucker. Justin Steele out for the season with an elbow thing. They've actually plugged in Colin Ray into the rotation. And so Andy will look to get his technical difficulties squared away. We will see him back shortly. But Jim, so that's what we see in the NL Central. Hunter Green came up with his third straight outing of going 7 innings. He's got a 1.00 ERA since last July. That's best in baseball.
Doing tremendous.
It's getting to the point where you see him, and at least until the odds makers fully make you pay a price, you almost have to go Reds money line first 5 innings.
Yeah, and you wonder who's going to come along and try to grab him
Eventually,
Yeah.
that's absolutely the case.
Yeah, exactly.
But
If Andy was talking about trade deadline, that would be a guy you'd want to go after.
right, and I don't know. It would take a haul because I think is 25 years old. So unless the Reds aren't serious about the long term, that'd be somebody you want to tie up. Even though tying up pitchers carries its risks due to arm concerns. But his 99.4 mile per hour fastball is tops among Major League Baseball starters. That's average. So he'll hit triple digits on you. He's right there with Paul Skeens. And in terms of that division, the Reds are way ahead of the Pirates because the Pirates can't hit. Averaging 2 runs a game over their last 5. They've been blanked twice this season, and they've now scored 2 runs or fewer in 6 of their 15 games. That's 40%. So Pittsburgh really struggling, and the White Sox have a 4-11 record, and the Pirates are struggling right there too. We'll see if Andy joins us back up. Going to wrap up the rest, just the weekend look back in terms of what we saw, and then look ahead to the coming series. The final thing that we saw, I think, that was very interesting is the Orioles losing 2 out of 3 to Toronto, and Toronto is certainly interesting because they are now have locked up Vlad Guerrero Jr., and there's a lot of good vibes around the Blue Jays. Andy, we good to go again?
I believe so. I may have had an overcrowded browser using the previous link, so I opened up a different browser, and this is the only one that I have operating right now. I'm going to try and get the email up and be able to follow along.
All the technical difficulties, it's still better than the old carrier pigeon days.
That's true. Barely.
Yeah, that's usually a culprit, is the overextended browsers, and I think we're all guilty of it. I have about 10 browsers open, 25 windows deep. That's just the way it is when you try to
I just closed the browser with about 12 windows open, or 12 tabs open. So now I've just got this one browser with one tab, and I'm going to try and see if I get those links up on the
unbelievable, unreal.
Well, we definitely look back at the weekend. Again, nothing really too concerning. Just mentioned that the Cubs, they're good vibes, slightly tempered by losing Justin Steele for the season, but they've got Colin Ray, who looked really sharp on short notice. We'll see if that continues. But for the most part, nothing really surprising in the National League outside of the Braves struggles, and they will get Spencer Strider back on Wednesday and hopefully can start turning things around, but lost 2 out of 3 in Tampa. The Mets have surged to the top of the NL East. They've won 8 out of 10 and blanked the A's in Sacramento 8-0 behind Kodai Senga on Sunday. And that hurt me because, Jim, did it hurt you because of the Sacramento over the play? Because
they went a nice 5-0 and then 5, and then all of a sudden now they're not going over anymore.
Yeah.
So you missed the wedding, ended up at the funeral with them.
Andy, though, there's a correlation, I think, in that outside of yesterday, A's wins in Sacramento all were, well, I shouldn't say all, the 2 of them were under games and day games. Yeah. And night games, I believe, are still perfect to the under. To the over,
I believe so. I don't know if there was a push in there. I'm not positive on that because some of these we've seen a lot of these numbers move up. 8.5, but 8 became 8.5, then 8.5 became 9 over the first few days. It'll level out, I think, over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks as far as that goes, because obviously the job of the lines maker will be to have results end up 50-50 as best as possible. And with a 162 game schedule, 81 of which are at home, of course, 81 on the road, those things do tend to even out, not necessarily because of the lines maker, but the public reacting to the lines maker, and then just the teams not able to sustain the same level of play for more than several games at a time, whether it be offense or pitching, or sometimes both.
Well, the A's and the Rockies are on the road this week. Well, to start the week, I should say. So no double-digit totals to likely be concerned about. Rockies, who are terrible, by the way. And Jim, you and I had talked about this, I believe, on the weekend show, how I felt that the Rockies would give the White Sox last season a run and the White Sox this season for most losses, given the division that they're in. But Doyle is out now. He's day to day. He's their best hitter. They've given Tovar some days off, and so I mean that lineup is brutal to watch. And they are at the Dodgers this week to start the season. So hopefully LA is going to see them and get right. But certainly this is an opportunity to talk about our run line philosophy.
You're going to be looking some big prices with those guys, and you're going to be laying run.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, you can't really lay those 300s. So what is your run line philosophy? And Andy, I'll ask you the same thing in terms of, Jim, we'll start with you. First five, you like first five. The Dodgers are at home, so are you willing to bet the 1.5 despite missing the 3 outs? What's your plan here if you really want to bet the Dodgers over the Rockies on any one of these games?
To me, I mean, it's, you can tell a good horse in a long race, and I think the Dodgers overwhelm the Rockies in 9 innings, and I mean, you might get 5 innings of good ball from the Rockies, but you're not going to get too many times. You're going to get 9. So, but the problem is you are giving up 3 outs because likely the Dodgers are going to be 3 at bats, I should say. The Dodgers are going to be leading, so you're laying 1.5. But there is a way to bet it if you want to. I mean, the problem is the price, and you're going to be laying 3-1. A lot of people that I know, they don't necessarily do it with 3-1 favorites, but they'll bet the money line with the favorite for a piece of their bet, and they'll lay the 1.5 for another piece of their bet. That way, if they can win 1 and lose 1. But I don't recommend it with 3-1 favorites. I don't bet that big. I mean, 160, 160 is about my limit. I don't even like going to 170. I don't like it. But I think in a situation like that, you just have to go with it. You lay the 1.5 and hope for the best. But it's a tough. And then of course you can look at the props. You can look at the hitters, who's good against what pitcher, and you can bet the props. There's a lot of prop opportunities in baseball that we don't really dig into as much. But strikeouts for the pitchers, first inning score, that's another way to look at it. Especially against a team as bad as the Rockies are, the White Sox.
Let me just interrupt one thing here. They also now, more sports books are allowing, the standard thing used to be first 5 innings. Well, now you can do first 3 innings, first 7 innings, and they adjust the price. For example, there was a game the other day. I think it was, I forget which one it was, that the first 3 innings was like 2.5, and the first 5 innings was like 3.5, and you had 2 good starting pitchers. And I ended up going with the 5.5, and both of them ended up covering. But you have those as part of the options. It used to be just first 5 innings and full game. So a lot more books, especially with the technology, allows them to offer more different prices where you can find a level that suits your comfort.
Andy, do you see more of that with the DraftKings, the FanDuels, and people like that we can't use here in Nevada? They're a little bit more aggressive in or I should say progressive and aggressive in their options than we are in Nevada.
I've seen them on those, but I don't remember if it was Stations or William Hill that offers it may be both of them. Some of those places don't have the greatest lines. However, I won't disparage any of the books that have some really ridiculous baseball lines that make it a lot more difficult to beat. But I was going to mention along the lines of what you were talking about, Jim, with the big favorites. And it's a strategy that works quite a bit. If you are a $2 favorite in a baseball game, the odds are saying you have a 67% chance of winning 2 out of 3, right? You're laying 200, so you should win 2 out of 3 games. If you parlay 2 2-1 favorites, minus 200, minus 200, and it hits, it's like playing a plus 125 underdog. The math just says that. So if you've got 2 big favorites in that range, it's not all that bad. You've got 2 teams that have a 67% chance each of winning, and if they win, you get paid plus 1.25.
Yeah, Rockies Dodgers would probably be your most lopsided series this week.
Yeah,
to start the week. Other one might, a little less in that vicinity. Diamondbacks are at the Marlins and Mets are at the Twins, and they're on the road, so that will.
Dodgers tonight, I think, are minus $1.50 on the 1.5 line.
Well, the Mets are playing very
Yeah,
well,
Yeah.
and the Twins are playing terrible. I mean, that's a mismatch in current form when you look at that series.
Minnesota's
And
offense has been putrid this year for the most part.
yes, and
And
the Mets
Oh, by the way,
Mets are playing well.
getting back to the Yankees, and Tony, you may have this information. I believe entering into yesterday, and I can't believe it's any different. Yankees had the worst ERA of all 30 major league pitching staffs.
Didn't know that.
I mean, look, at this point, I think they're struggling to find things. Getting that bullpen settled. Rodon has had pretty good starts, but he's been hit by one rough inning. I think their most consistent pitcher so far has been Fried. So Stroman struggled to get anybody out the other night. So
Stroman is justifying the Yankees' decision in spring training to move him to the bullpen.
And I think he's got an issue now, so we'll see if he ends up on the IL. But yeah, the one thing before we move off this Dodgers-Rockies series, the one game where I would caution against just blindly backing the Dodgers is Tuesday's matchup. It's Landon Knack, who not exactly lights out, and he's opposed by Ryan Feltner, who talent-wise, to me, is Colorado's best pitcher. And he had a fluke game the other day in his last start where it didn't look like he would make his start, ended up pitching really well against, I believe it was the Brewers. So, beyond that, let's move on to the two best series, and those two are in the National League as well. The Cubs are at the Padres. That's a battle of division winners, and the Giants are at the Phillies. We'll start with the Cubs and the Padres, and a Monday matchup between Jameson Taillon and Dylan Cease. But again, you know how well San Diego draws at Petco, so they'll give Cubs fans, because Cubs fans are everywhere, a run for their money.
Yeah, I'll mention that. A lot of people look to play against teams coming off a weekend series that was sort of like an emotional series against a strong opponent and then traveling. So that would apply to the Cubs here. The problem with that is that, yeah, it's a road game. It's another road travel, but they're just going from LA to San Diego.
Right,
So it's
yeah,
not
it's not
really
much
that
travel.
big. It'd be sort of like the Cubs going from Chicago to Milwaukee. It's almost a bus ride rather than a plane
Yep.
flight. So if you're using that angle, I would be cautious about that. You know, if you like going against the Cubs for other reasons, and playing the Padres is a good enough reason for that, you might consider it, but I would not play it necessarily because they just had a nice series against the Dodgers and are going on the road, because it's only, like I say, about a 90-minute travel. As far as the series goes, I'd be looking for a spot to play the Cubs against the Padres. I'm not sure if tonight is the night, but we might get a chance Tuesday or Wednesday.
I actually am going to continue
All right.
I'm going to continue with the pattern that I've started. I look for good teams that are underdogs to win at least one bet. And that's not a chase system, because I don't believe in the chase system, but if you bet $50 on the Cubs in game one and you win it, you're done. You don't double up on the second
You're
game.
looking for at least a one.
I'm looking to win one bet as a dog. If I win one and lose one, and I'm a dog in each game, I'm a profit. And that's all I'm looking to do, is make a profit. It's worked
I think tomorrow with Imanaga against Vasquez might be one to consider. I don't know what the line will be, Tony.
Yeah, I would imagine that'd be close to pick them, just because Imanaga is the Cubs ace and Vasquez probably the Padres weak link, and that'll definitely be one of the matchups to watch. Jim, I know you have done well with both the Phillies and the Giants early on. Those two teams matched up against one another, and I would imagine that Philadelphia, despite San Francisco's start, will be a favorite. Landon Roop against Taijuan Walker on Monday. Tuesday's matchup, though, have you talk about that? It's Justin Verlander and the Giants almost certainly going to be an underdog against Jesus Luzardo, and given his start, and the Phillies at home. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is now it becomes a tough road trip. I mean, you just went to the Yankees and did your job there. Now you're going to Philly. It gets a little harder now, and eventually, I'm going to have to get a price. I'm not looking to take a Giants at Pick'em or something like that. I'm looking for $1.30, $1.25, $1.40 if I can. I want to make it valuable to make that bet. I'm not looking to lay, I feel like I'm laying money if I'm taking a pick with a road dog on a long road trip. So I'm not looking for that spot. I'm looking at the number rather than the team. because I want to cash. I want to make money if I split, and it's not going to happen if I bet pick'ems.
I was looking at
And that's a good
Walker
segue
tonight.
to our.
I was going to say, I was looking at Walker tonight. That's a pretty cheap price for the Phillies, who have to be somewhat embarrassed after being shut out yesterday the way they were with the Cardinals. And you're getting the Giants. And again, it's sort of like the Cubs and the Dodgers. You're basically going down the highway, so it's not really a big travel thing for the Giants. But they have to be pretty pleased with their series in New York. This could be a little situation for a letdown. If you like the Giants tonight, maybe you're figuring on another poor effort out of Walker, so maybe you look over the total, where you would expect. I would expect the Phillies to do some scoring, but you might get the Giants if Walker's not in good form.
Or you might look at the Giants. You might look at the Giants in the first 5.
Yeah.
Let's segue into the series price talk, because in this one the Phillies are actually in the -150 range. The Giants, despite winning 2 of 3 in the Bronx, are at +125.
Well, now you're talking. Now that's the kind of price I'm looking for. 125.
Yeah, but that's series price right there, Jim.
Yeah.
So
you
got to take 2 out of 3.
I don't want the series. I just want to
win. Right, but I'm saying that is the series price.
Yeah, I want to win one bet. That's the series is another. That's a whole nother way of looking at sports. And I got lucky in New York. I won 2 out of 3, but I didn't expect to win 2 or 3. I was just looking to win 1, but that gives me a profit. I like the Giants' first 5.
Jim, let me ask you this, because we do have probably what will be the shortest price in the series tonight, with Walker laying roughly $1.10 to $1.15, and the Giants are probably going to get larger prices in the next 2 games of the series. Might this be a situation where you might pass the first game on the Giants and try to have them take 1 out of the 2 at maybe plus $1.50 or so, either tomorrow or Wednesday?
Absolutely. If that's, and I didn't know the price on the first game. I would absolutely agree with that, Andy. I'm looking for more than that pick'em type price, because I've got it going against me. First of all, I'm on the road. Secondly, I just had the big series in New York, and I don't see a positive EV in betting the Giants at basically pick'em price or $1.10 plus. When I get $1.40, $1.50. With a good team that's hitting the ball very well and playing well enough to beat the Yankees 2 out of 3, now I'm talking. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, you got Robbie Ray scheduled to go on Wednesday, and tomorrow you've got Verlander, as Tony mentioned. So you got 2 better pitchers going tomorrow against the Phillies. Of course, Luzardo is on fire. We don't know how long that'll keep up. That should be a good matchup tomorrow against Verlander. And then on Wednesday, the matchup has Aaron Nola going against Robbie Ray. And I don't know about you, Tony. I'm not that thrilled with Aaron Nola. I think he's starting to be at the tail end of his career. He's had a couple of good starts, but a couple of really rough starts as well. And it figures only to be more rough starts coming up down the road.
Yeah, the last few seasons he's been inconsistent. Last year he was better than 23,
yes.
But certainly Wheeler has passed him as the Phillies' most reliable starter. And from what we've seen, guys like Ranger Suarez and Sanchez are giving just as good a chance to win as Nola.
Gotta love Sanchez, by the way. The Phillies have been a moneymaker with him.
The Dodgers, by the way, are minus 550 for the series against the Rockies, and you're feeling froggy. Colorado plus 375. But let's go ahead and move into what series price do you like the most? And Andy, we'll start with you. Out of the 15 series, 10 start on Monday, 5 on Tuesday. And there are, like I said, there are the Cubs, Padres, Giants, Phillies, Royals, Yankees, Tigers, Brewers are your elite series, but there are 15 to choose from. Anyone that strikes your fancy?
Well, I was going to start with a game first that I like on Tuesday. Then I'll go to the series prices. And I'm looking at the game Atlanta at Toronto Tuesday. That's a 4:07 Pacific, 7:07 Eastern time. The scheduled matchup, and again, I always do things with these specific listed pitchers. Spencer Schwellenbach, who's arguably the ace for Atlanta right now. We'll see what happens when Strider comes back. I think he may pitch on Wednesday, going up against Kevin Gausman. I'm still not sold on Atlanta as far as they've struggled, but I think they're relying on their ace. And if there's one game that I can back Atlanta, and I don't know what the price will be, I guess it could be somewhat reasonable. probably under -150. And Jim, you talked about your limit. I am willing to go up to -150 straight, but no higher than that. So if it is higher than that, maybe I consider Atlanta on the run line. But I'm a little skittish about that, the way Atlanta really isn't hitting. But I do like Atlanta in the spot tomorrow. I think that's their best opportunity to win. Now, as far as the series prices, I'm actually let me see what that one has. The Braves, I'm showing about -110 over the Blue Jays. I might look at that series price, but I think the one and again, if I'm looking for an underdog, maybe I take the Twins to take 2 or 3, I think it is, in their series against the Mets. Mets playing very well on the road right now. Twins, I think they're in a position now where they're going to start playing a lot better. The offense will be coming along a little bit. I'm showing with the 30-cent line right now, the link that you sent us to, Tony, even money on the Twins to take 2 out of the 3, and I'll go with that as this series played.
All right, very good. There are a couple.
You're saying you're talking about the Tuesday game. You're talking about the Braves.
Basically pick'ems, Astros and Cardinals. Another one.
I'm sorry. What was that, Jim?
Well, you're talking about the Braves at the
Jim,
Blue Jays. What price are you seeing on that game?
Haven't seen anything on that game yet, but I would imagine what I was going to say is I don't think it'll be as high as -150 the way Atlanta is playing. I was just saying when you were talking about not playing straight plays above like 150 to 160, my limit is basically 150. I'll be willing to lay 3 to 2 on a side that I like if I like it, and I do have a pitching advantage in this game, but I'm not sure what this line will be. If it's above -150, I would be skittish about laying the 1.5, but I don't think the price is going to be that high.
What does?
Yeah, no, it won't be that high. At the most, it would be the Braves -120, and Gossman is a pretty good righty as well. So I would say that it's in line with the series. It'll be a pick'em.
Well, the way the Toronto, I may disagree here. Toronto's playing pretty well. They're not that. I mean, this is like you said. They got the contract under their belt. The way the Braves are playing, I'd be very hesitant to lay any money with the Braves.
The thing with Schwellenbach is he's capable of going 8 innings of shutout ball.
Has he done it on the road?
Andy's saying that for his game of the 3 days that we're breaking down, he eyes Schwellenbach over Gossman as a game he'd like to play. So whether that's first 5 or full game, that depends. But what you're saying, I'm understanding is form-wise, there's no way you would lay with the Braves. But I don't think that that's a situation that is going to come up, because even on Wednesday, you got Spencer Strider likely to make his debut since Tommy John surgery, and he's going up against Chris Bassett, who has been lights out as well to start the season.
Speaking again about the game tomorrow, Tony and Jim, is that maybe I would consider the first 5 innings, because if Schwellenbach is in form, he'll be going at least 5, probably a little bit deeper, and maybe Toronto would have success against the bullpen late innings.
Here's the price. We got an opener of 115, Schwellenbach favored,
right,
and then bookmaker went up to 131, and Bet Online has it 125.
That sounds about right.
Showing Atlanta the favorite. Okay, now you're talking into a range. If you're talking up in the 150 range, I start to get nervous.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it'll get there at all.
So when you're talking about Schwellenbach, I would say that based on that price, the first 5 is a bet.
Yeah, it might be a little bit higher, because the odds makers will be figuring Schwellenbach goes at least 5, and there'll be an effective 5, and then who knows what happens after that, because Toronto right now certainly has the advantage at the plate.
Granted, that's we break that down a little bit. We take it down from the 150 to the 125 range. I start to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give my series price pick out, and then Jim will go to you for one of those. I'm liking the Detroit Tigers to stay hot against the Milwaukee Brewers, taking 2 out of 3 there. And what I'm seeing there is the Tigers are laying $1.25 for the series on the road, which is certainly a 2025 MLB line. given where the Tigers started last season.
That
where they
tells
ended
you
up was
all
pretty
you
good.
need to know about what the line makers are thinking, because you would think, especially based upon expectations before the season, that Milwaukee would have been the favorite at home in this one. The fact
Yeah,
that
of
the
course.
line makers
And
are making you
especially given
pay.
the kind of year that Milwaukee had.
Yeah.
And so Milwaukee has gotten off to a slow start. Their bats are there some nights, and some nights they're not. So the pitching matchups, I think, favor me with Jack Flaherty against Quinn Priester. Priester was solid in his first start, but that's Tuesday's matchup. They start on Monday with reigning Cy Young Award winner Tariq Skubal against Tyler Alexander. So obviously clear advantage for the Tigers there. And the series wraps up with Reese Olson against the Brewers, probably going to Jose Quintana, although they haven't announced that yet. But bottom line is, I think that's a value price for Detroit. So give me Detroit for the series price there. Jim, out of the series, whether they start today or tomorrow, what do you like?
Tony, I was going to ask you, Tony, one thing. What was with Quintana the other night? That came out of nowhere, that effort.
What do you mean?
Quintana.
Well, I mean, they basically rushed him through to get to the rotation because they needed him. I mean, they're the team that most needs arms in all of MLB right now due to various ailments. So I think that's what's up with him.
That outstanding performance to me came from nowhere because he was a late signee even in the spring before joining spring training late.
Yeah, but at this point in his career, he's a mercenary. I mean, he did the same thing with the Mets last season.
Yep. Yeah.
The exact same thing. So Jim, what you got?
Okay. I'm going to give you the Mets, McGill over Ober in game 1, laying 109 to 120. And that there's a lot of prices out there right now on that. So probably I'd grab the bet on the line has 109. So I would open that with that one. And then I'm going to take the Mets in the series, and I'm going to give you one more game. I'm going to give you the Dodgers minus 1.5 in every game they play against the Rockies.
All right, very good. So that's full game, correct? You wouldn't want to go minus a half run in any of those first 5, which is fine because the Dodgers both.
Yeah, I could go minus. I could go minus the first 5 and minus the full game. I think they're going to destroy the Rockies. I think they started to get themselves embarrassed the way they're playing, and everybody was reading their press clippings when they're 16-0. That this is gonna be a wake up call.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're home, so it's not like they're traveling. And I would not want to be Colorado tonight. Hopefully, Dustin May does his part.
The Ober McGill game is Tuesday, right?
The Ober, yeah.
Tonight it's Jim. Was it Joe Ryan against Clay Holmes? The series.
Oh, I didn't.
Right.
I was actually.
So
I went to look at. He likes
Ober McGill as his game of the week. No, that's fine though.
I'm gonna go McGill over Ober. I'm gonna go series of Mets. Yeah.
Right. So Jim and I are going head to head. I'd stick with Jim. Yeah. I went with the Twins for the series.
Well, one of us will win.
Yeah. Unless there's a rain out and they split.
I have as far as games, I like individual games. There's only one. I like to give them Wednesday so we can have some legs into this one. I would say that the Padres over the Cubs on Wednesday. It's a really good pitching matchup. Nick Pivetta, who's hit the ground running in San Diego, against lefty Matthew Boyd. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Padres first 5 in that one. So I know I'll be laying a price. I don't think it'll get into the 150 range, maybe 140 tops. Give me San Diego first 5 over Chicago on Wednesday, in addition to my series bet, which I gave you earlier. And so we've got Detroit over Milwaukee.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the one that I said that the lines maker telling you something by making the Tigers the favorite.
Yeah,
now,
Detroit over Milwaukee.
Let's talk about this for a second. Okay, Kansas City on Tuesday plays. They have Waka against Fried in New York, and Fried has probably pitched the best for the Yankees so far. But their bullpen is a little sketchy for the Yankees. How has Waka been pitching so far?
He's had one good outing and one poor one, especially by his standards.
But you're taking 161 with Kansas City in a game that they could easily take that game.
Well, the
Especially-
Yankees go through funks, especially early in the season. So
I
Right.
could see I could see Lugo tonight. I could see
Well,
Lugo
definitely,
tonight. It's crossed.
definitely. I just happen to have the screen up for Tuesday. I don't know why it's there
Oh.
like that, but that's it opened up that way. So I'm looking at the
Lugo
Tuesday game.
Carrasco on Monday is a tough series opener for New York, trying to get back on track after losing 2 or 3. Because Cookie's just getting going in pinstripes, and Lugo, although he hasn't been great this season, you know what you're getting from him. A quality starting pitcher.
And he's
So, yeah,
also
it's a series.
used to pitching in New York. He was with the Mets for a couple of years.
To me, I think that this is the best series, most intriguing series in the American League this week to start the week. I like, obviously, Cubs, Padres, Giants, Phillies, a little more marquee, but AL wise, Royals, Yankees, just for the general intrigue of it.
It really, there are some very good series. When you look at this, I mean, because nobody's really taken off and run away with anything, and these are all competitive. And your Detroit play, I like it a lot. That's a great play.
Oh, well, that is going to do it for us. We have previewed what's a pretty interesting next batch of games with 10% of the season in. And we'll see if teams like San Francisco can stay hot on the road against Philadelphia. Certainly, Jim has given you an option there. I like Detroit over Milwaukee. Andy, you got a bunch of options as well.
I got Atlanta on Tuesday with Schwellenbach and
one of the more interesting, another interesting series, because Toronto being at top of their division and Atlanta being at the bottom, definitely a surprise. Eyebrow raising.
Right now, the odds just 125, 131 in that range.
Yeah,
that's your price at the moment.
And looks, if Atlanta gets this going early, then you get Strider in a matinee to potentially really have you feeling good about yourself if you're the Braves, and he looks sharp. So really tough.
Who would have thought the Dodgers would be close to third? They are in third place in the West with both the Padres and the Giants ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's early, but yes, third place.
They're minus 305 in this game against Feltner on Tuesday,
and that's the one I would stay away from.
Yeah, I
would stay away from that one. I think Feltner, if he's on, he can pitch well enough, and if the Rockies with their bad lineup can scratch out a run or two, I would at least stay away from first 5. And if you are feeling frisky, maybe take a shot.
Yeah, and I am seeing Schwellenbach now minus 120 against Gausman tomorrow.
And that'll be a fun matchup. We will be back on Thursday to preview the weekend series and recap how we did in this Monday through Wednesday portion. We also have the NBA playoff preview going up. It's not an entire snapshot of the playoffs because 4 out of the 8 matchups still remain to be seen, but it will be an extensive look at both conferences and their playing rounds and a general overview of what to expect after an eventful Sunday decided the playoff picture in the Western Conference. The East had already been decided, but now we know what to attack, how to attack, and we'll let you in on that. So keep an eye out for those videos. For Jim Feist and Andy Iskoe, I'm Tony Mejia. This has been the Proline TV Baseball Betting Bash. See you Thursday.